I'm cracking the shells on the crab, and they're just cracking my skull, getting inside. Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. That's Logan. Today, I want to be talking about a pretty spicy topic, honestly, in my opinion. I think it's kind of interesting, but I want to talk about my being in a coma and kind of explaining to you guys what that's like, because I think it's kind of crazy, and I never met anybody that was in a coma before or heard about anybody that was in a coma. So, I mean, there is that, I don't know if you guys watch Supernatural, but there is that episode where, like, Dean is kind of in a coma, and I mean, I'll kind of reflect to that a little bit, but let's start where we were, why we were put in a coma. So, if you guys aren't aware of the first video I posted, then
Olympus
I had
I
had a brain aneurysm when I was 13, and basically what that did was I passed out at a baseball field, and I felt like my eyes were popping out of my head. The pressure was so much. So what they did is, as soon as I got to the hospital, they put me in a medically induced coma, and they removed part of my skull in order to like reduce the pressure, because if not, my brain would literally just popped. So I was put into a medically induced coma, and I was in a coma for about like 2.5 weeks. And I mean, honestly, it was, to me, it was like I couldn't tell time, so it didn't feel like I 2.5 weeks to me. It only felt like a couple minutes to me, but I was having a lot of pretty crazy dreams and stuff, and there was this point, I believe I had an out-of-body experience. I don't know if you guys understand what that is, but it's basically where your body disconnects, or your mind disconnects from your body, and you can see outside your body, essentially. So what I mean by this is, when I was in the hospital bed, I was in ICU, the intensive care units, but I could see myself down in the bed, I was hovering over myself. And I mean, me not knowing what happened, I was at a baseball game, and then I just see myself sitting there in a bed, kind of crazy. So, but I could hear people talking to me, I could hear my parents and everything. They were all talking to me. I could hear the stuff they were saying, but it was more like I was having really vivid dreams, the most realistic dreams that I've ever had in my life. I was walking around in my dreams, and I was talking in my dreams and stuff. But I also was on very intense drugs, so I mean, kind of the most intense high of your life. But there was this one dream that kind of stuck with me for a while. It was I was in I don't know if you guys can picture it, but when you're on a plane and you look outside the window and you're in the clouds and it's just all white. I was hanging out in an area like that, where I was in the clouds, and then I'm just chilling there, and this bus pulls up. I'm just standing there, and a bus pulls up, and he opens the door, and he goes, "Yo, get on the bus." And I could see my dad sitting next to me, holding my hand, and he was crying, and I'm sitting there, I'm screaming, the version of me that was not in my body. I'm sitting there screaming at him, and I'm "Don't let me go, don't let me go," and stuff like this. And I don't know. It's more the people that see the end of the tunnel, or that kind of thing, where you're close to death, and you say you can see the end or like the light or whatever. I feel like that's more like what it was. So if he let me go, I feel like I would have died, essentially. That's how I kind of look at it. But that was just one of the like most vivid dreams that I had. They're mad at me, but I'm trying to focus on talking to you guys about this because I feel like it's a very interesting topic. So that was the bus story, we call it, and I mean, it was more, there was a lot of like just seeing what doctors and stuff were like talking to me, like saying, and there was this one point where I was sitting in the bed alone and my aunt was in the room and she's just sitting there. She's talking to me.
Oh, Tank, you're gonna just start doing something. You're dying over and over again.
Wasn't built in a day.
I don't know what this kid's saying. I don't really care. But I was sitting in the room with my aunt and she's just like, she's sitting there and she's trying to turn on the TV and she's like, hey, Loki, do you know how to turn on the TV? And like, I'm in a coma, I can't do anything, I can't respond, but she's like sitting there asking me questions and I thought it was pretty funny. Hey Logan, work the TV for me. Like, I know you're in a coma and all, but turn on the TV. Sorry, can't help you with that one. But the one that you guys all want to hear about is the brain surgery one, because that's what I'm going to put in the title. Is I watched my own brain surgery, so I was like, I was sitting in this room and like I saw a bunch of doctors and I had no idea what they were doing, but like it was the operating room, so you can see like if you've ever watched like the hospital show or something, like you see all those like equipment and stuff, like tables and everything. And I see one person in the middle, and like so there's like 8 doctors, 8 surgeons all around, and then there's just one person sitting in the middle, and I can see the person. I don't know what they're doing, but I can see them like cutting into his head essentially, and then like I looked down and I noticed that it was me, so I was just looking at myself and I'm looking at these people cutting inside my head, and it was, I don't know, it was really weird because like I could see them like slicing it open and they were like, I couldn't tell exactly what they were doing, but I can see they were doing something inside my head, if that makes sense.
I'm always on the team with the complete.
So, it was... Alright, we're just not gonna play games so I can talk about this, because everybody's getting mad. But, so I was sitting there, watching, like above myself, watching they cut my head, and my favorite restaurant is Red Lobster, so I was sitting there thinking about they're talking shit. That's funny. But I was sitting there and like it was more like a feast. Like I could just like eat a bunch of food. So I was sitting there like cracking crab, you know, like just sitting there cracking crab, watching my brain surgery happen. I'm just sitting there chilling, eating crab, watching myself have brain surgery, watching them cut in my head and everything, enjoying it, enjoying my dinner. But this all happened so fast, so it was like I was in the coma watching this, and then it was like boom. In a matter of seconds, I woke up, and I was like actually awake in the hospital, and now I have like everybody hovering over me, and I'm like, well, what the hell just happened? And they were talking to me, and they were trying to tell me like something happened to me, and then like they gave me They gave me like an iPad, and I remember this because I was sitting there typing on the iPad, and I'm like, why did they cut my head open? And everybody was like in shock because nobody said anything about me like hurting my head or whatever. And I immediately just started asking them why they were cutting my head open, and they were like, then they started talking to me about like what happened and like the brain aneurysm and the stroke and everything. But it was more kind of like scary to them, like how did I know that before I woke up? So it kind of shows them that I actually saw what was going on, and I actually watched myself have the surgery. And so I'm just sitting there munching on some crab, watching on them cutting my head open. Like, I'm cracking the shells on the crab, and they're just cracking my skull getting inside. And like, it was a very, I don't know, it was scary, but at the same point it was very interesting and like crazy. Now that I look back on it, that I was able to like experience that. I mean, at the time it was not it was not very fun, and I was terrified because I'm like a 13-year-old boy and I just watched myself have brain surgery. But it was definitely interesting. So what I would say is, if you ever know somebody that's in a coma, or have ever been around anybody that's in a coma, I would say just like keep talking to them and like keep comforting them, because they're alone. They're by themselves. They can see everybody else. They're walking around, they can see everybody else, but nobody can hear them, so they're alone in like a world with everybody else. So I would say just keep comforting them and just keep talking to them, because you never know like where they're at or what's going on with them. So I'm glad I had family members that were there talking to me, because I could feel like the safety of them being around me, and it helped a lot. But I mean, still, watching your head get cut open is not the best feeling in the world. So I hope you guys enjoyed this short video, me explaining about me getting my head cut open and me watching my own brain surgery while eating crab. So if you guys like this video and want to see more like hospital stories or anything, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe, and if you can comment. And I got plenty of hospital stories, all kind of crazy, because I mean, being in the hospital like that on those drugs, like intense pain drugs, is kind of crazy. So I mean, I can share a lot of those stories with you guys, and I think it's pretty cool. So if you guys want to hear about those, then go ahead, comment about it, and I'll make some videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.